Chapter 4 Collusion.
Zentran felt an impulse to move to the side of the skywalk, interrupting his childhood recollections. Cold reality of the present imposed itself. There was little purpose in moving though, as he was already at the side. Subliminal awareness of his friend's proximity had conveyed his previous thoughts to their early life together. The telepathic transmission was too strong for having originated from lookalikes. He recognized the impulse's signature. No one else would mass command so close to Alpha 1. Those capable of such intensity had mostly been uncovered and deprogrammed. The center of the corridor cleared with frantic compliance. Overriding the impulse, Zentran forced his way to the opening section forming in the middle. An unusually serious Zak came to view, taking long strides. The concern etched onto his face lessened to a grin as Zentran strode out to meet him. Zak was a little taller than Zentran now. They greeted each other without speaking. Materialistic orientation had cost most native souls the ability of pure communication. Words became necessary when mental impulses became too weak to effect communication on their own. The friends had no need of verbal assistance.
"Why aren't you standing at the side of the corridor like the others?"
inquired Zak jokingly.
Your stolen starship uniform doesn't have high enough rank on it. I outrank you.
They laughed. Masses of people clamoring to the sides of the skywalk for no apparent reason, while what appeared to be two starship officers passing each other silently in the deserted center section became even more ominous when the silence was broken only by their laughter. Neither turned, and Zak continued to charge along the corridor.
"There are machine troopers coming up behind me."
These were constructed to enforce the law. No attempt was made to disguise their mechanical construction. Zentran moved to the crowded side of the walkway and neutralized Zak's command. The center filled with bewildered people again, who continued on their way as if nothing had happened. The machine troopers came to view. Flawless lookalikes followed. The crowd was forced apart to let them through. Zentran hindered them by gently suggesting to everyone that their personal business was far more urgent than any business the troopers might have. When the chaos in the skywalk subsided, Zak was well clear of his pursuers. Zak's capacity to live so close to the edge was concerning. If they were to rectify the system, they both needed to survive. Trace of Zak's presence diminished. As Zentran continued along the skywalk to meet his lady, recollections of his childhood returned. Fortunately, Zak's deprogramming hadn't been substantial, probably because he'd been a child. It would have sufficed though, had Zentran not undone it. The damage to Zak's confidence began to heal. He remembered he'd been able to move matter with intention, but it took a while before he was certain enough to achieve it again. In their secret location on the dark side of the hill, Zentran lifted a rock and invited Zak's assistance. Sensing Zak's contribution, he eased up until Zak supported it entirely. When Zak realized he held up the rock unassisted, his confidence deserted him and it fell. Patience was eventually rewarded. As Zak's confidence grew, Zentran began to witness the magnitude of his friend's ability. They weren't aware that they were yet to meet someone more powerful than both of them. Zentran had to work harder to keep up with Zak's emerging abilities, but never understood why, with so much inherent power, Zak had no recall of past lifetimes. Zentran's were clear as yester sequence. The pools of Vikru, where he'd coexisted with majestic dolphins, his fond memories of Fairluce, the magical fairies of Plumos, where anything was possible and only a thought away, were a reminder of who he was. Foremost in his memories were the elite electric swordsman of Rowan and his wondrous commanding officer. None of Zentran's efforts to help Zak remember his past succeeded. A cut-off point just after Zak's birth persisted, beyond which they could never traverse. Zak resigned himself in substituting Zentran's earlier experiences for his occluded memory, although the nature of Zentran's quest on Delta 4B and the swordswoman for which Zentran had a soft spot was yet to be revealed. Their bodies grew, developing muscular definition, and their minds became ever stronger. Necessity required their low profile in society, which Zak had difficulty with. Being unobtrusive was contrary to his nature. Quiet reminders on deprogramming procedures were sometimes necessary. Zak still found it hard to abstain. He thrived on attention, especially with eager admirers from an emerging recreation, curvaceous girls. He and Zentran never associated at instruction classes or social events. Being so different served their clandestine friendship well. Zentran took part in extramural activities, careful not to use his mental ability to advantage. Zak, fortunately, didn't partake, feeling it not in keeping with the unconventional demeanor his female admirers found so appealing. Besides his looks, the pick of the young female contingent fell for his extrovert charm. It had a hypnotic effect, even when not being helped along mentally. Zentran occasionally acted clumsy to take attention off Zak overstepping the mark. Feigned embarrassment at his ineptness invoked laughter, and irritated Zak at times appreciated the warning. Various diversions were invented to divert attention off Zak. A gust of wind once caused a lady instructor's dress to blow up. Shapely legs and skimpy underwear evoked jubilations of approval from the adolescent boys present. Only Zak noticed Zentran's hinted smile. Instructors had an idea something was amiss from time to time, but fortunately none could ever place a finger on it. Aside from their extrasensory abilities, both were normal youths approaching manhood.